Hi, everyone. All right, welcome to Ladies Go Live, the podcast. This is series 1, The Power Behind the Woman, where we get to know some amazing women in this world. And of course, episode 1, I'm joined by the amazing Lynn. Hi, Lynn.
Hello. I was rocking out to the intro music a minute ago.
I can see you in the back of the house doing the little rocking away. But that's great because it shows you're having a good time. So obviously this is all about you for the next about 30 minutes or so. So who is Lynn? What do we do?
What do we do?
What do you do? Who are you?
I don't know. Who am I? I don't know. Well, right now, anyway, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm an integrative health and what I call mind style coach. So, we always talk about lifestyle, right? And so mind style, the way I define that is lifestyle for the mind. So the practice, the manner in which and practice of how we actually think.
Yeah.
That's kind of me in a nutshell. That's what I do.
Very, I say essential. I mean, because obviously our mind is the thing that controls everything we do, how we act. Yep. So obviously I'm big on health and well-being. That's my thing. And of course, that's why we've been doing those lives and, all the Wednesdays. So obviously, I know your journey has been impacted massively by your health and well-being. So what do you think has been the biggest influences and how's that impacted you?
So, it's funny because I've always been interested in health and wellness, right? But I was that rat on the wheel. And I was like, oh, I read so much about health and wellness and I work out every day, but I was obsessive. Like I was cycling 350 miles a week, or if I wasn't doing that, I was running 80 miles a week. And it was just like, I couldn't get enough. And I was working 110, hours a week. And I thought I was eating well, but I probably wasn't. So it was but there were 3 events in my life probably that influenced me the most. So one was when I was in my teens and I was having all sorts of stomach pain and back pain, and they decided I had idiopathic pancreatitis, and there was absolutely no medical reason for it. And so I remember my gastroenterologist, he's like, well, I think we're going to take your gallbladder out. And I'm like, why? He said, it might help. And I'm like, don't just start removing random organs. We don't can I change my diet? Would that help? And I remember he looked at me kind of funny, but he said, you know what, let's try it. Right. So I worked with a nutritionist or dietitian or something. And we just really made some pretty marked changes to my diet. And lo and behold, it reversed it. And it's in a few, matter of months, it was gone and completely manageable. That was one. And then 2, in about 2003, and like I said, I was an athlete. I was a highly functioning professional. And then over time, I was tired all the time. I was in pain head to toe all the time. Even if I walked up 3 stairs, my body just ached. So, and I was out of bed 4 to 5 hours a day. It was awful. And, I don't even know how many doctors and thousands of dollars later, I saw a functional medicine doctor, and he diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And again, through diet changes and a very strong mindfulness practice, that was key. I was able to reverse that, and that ultimately went away, and I've really had no problem since. But the big thing, and this, was in 2014 when I suffered a traumatic brain and spinal cord injury, and I was, again, just finished a long run, and I'm like, I want to work out. So I go to the gym where I lived at the time and go sit down to do the lat pull down. You sit there, you load the weight, and there's an iron bar. And I had 80 pounds loaded. And then on one of the pull downs, I don't know which one, but on one of them, the whole system snapped. So that bar came crashing into my head with a force of 80 pounds. And so I had the brain, I have a bad neck injury. And then because I was seated, it caused a hypershifting in my low back. And that created the formation of a cyst on my spinal cord. And it was nuts. It was nuts. But in the healing process, and I didn't know anyone here at the time. I was new to the area, and it was just me and my dog. So it was really going to be up to me to heal myself. And I mean, I learned to ask for help really quickly. But so in that process, though, I just kind of, because it was just me and my thoughts. So I started to like kind of intuitively develop these strategies and tools to like help like calm and heal my mind first, and then help influence my body to heal as well. And that process really showed me like the unbelievable intelligence of the body mind communication system. And I was constantly getting in for, because it was just me and my thoughts, my body. And so I would, like, for instance, people would call me and check in on me, and they would immediately start yelling and screaming, like, oh, this is horrific. And you're never going to run again. Aren't you mad? And like, I would hear this, or if I thought of my medical bills, which were like 25 grand in the first month. I mean, I literally felt my brain swell in my head. I get eye pain, what they call fanning, nausea. I was re-traumatizing. So I was just paying attention to cues from my body and then reacting. So that hurt, right? That bad things, my body feels bad. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to think of an ocean. And that felt better. And I'm like, all right, I'm thinking about my medical bills. Don't think about that. Think about a puppy. Okay, that feels better in the body.
Yeah.
And like, so simple. And then I was like, well, there's nothing negative to replace. What do I want to think about now? Because I get to choose when I want to think about it. And that like was like, I never thought about that. What do I want to think about? Like, right. But anyway, it's just like these stupid little, seemingly simple like tricks that I would use just by listening to my body's response. And the funny thing is, these tools that I developed to help me heal, they actually they made me far more productive at work. And I remember my boss calls me up one day. He's like, "You got to come over here. We got to have a one-on-one." And I'm like, "Oh God, I'm getting fired." I know it was pre-merger, and I go over there, and he goes, "Are you looking for work?" I said, "No. Why? Are you sure?" I said, "I'm sure. I'm not looking for work. Why? Why? What's going on?" He said, "You're really happy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "No, but like really happy, and like you're really productive, and like steady. You've been like really, I've been watching like the last 3 months, you're like," I'm like, "Is there a problem?" He goes, "What are you doing? I don't get it. It's like chaos and all these decisions that the CEO is making." And I just remember going, my happiness is not conditional upon the strategic business decisions the CEO is going to make. And he just sat back and he goes, huh. And I was like, at this big bubble above my head, like, huh, like I did it, because it was still the same crappy environment and still the same coworkers and chaos. But because did, I just had done all this work. And then when I found out there was neuroscience behind why all these tools worked so profoundly for me, then I was like, oh my God, I've got to write a book. I've got to leave this corporate biz stuff and get my certification and coach. And it was really like a lot of looking at my thoughts and analyzing them and stripping them away, and like just challenging those. And this is what I do with my clients, like challenging those um, unserving thoughts and patterns, and then shifting into something more purposeful, more productive, more positive, more peaceful, right? And then over time, using deliberate thinking as an active change agent, instead of just like some byproduct or app that's running in the background, because that's how it happens, right? Our thoughts are like kind of running us, right?
And the one thing I love what you say is actually what's so true. It's not just going, I'm just going to replace it with this. It's actually the intention of putting it into place and doing the sort of the groundwork, building it back up, and actually going, actually, I feel this way, but I'm not just going to replace it. I'm actually going to do the work beyond that.
Yeah, it's intentional. It's very intentional. And the thing is, and somebody, and I refer to in my book and in my coaching too, the 6 impact imperatives for sustainable change. And these are things that are requisite for lasting. Like, and, one of the things I think that makes my coaching unique is I want sustainable change. So this is like the secret sauce, these 6 impact imperatives. I don't want someone going through my 3 or 6 month program and then coming back to me, because then I wouldn't have done my job, unless it's for like a tune-up, because I offer these little mini tune-ups too. But you can read a book. I used to have 6 bookshelves full of self-help books, right? Because you read it, you cognitively get it, and then it goes and sits on the shelf. But so I like to incorporate these things that are really but one of them is I didn't really understand how this happened. So I asked this guy at Harvard Medical, the doctor, and I said, how come I was able to stay out of victim mode? Like, because a lot of people who go through something traumatic, it's real easy for us to go there. And he said, because you practiced appreciation so consistently. And in doing that, you kept yourself out of those regions of the brain where you were self-judging or, victim mode or anger or fear. And when you're in those areas like the amygdala, the posterior cingulate cortex, you can't heal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't even know if I went off tangent. I probably did. I'm chatty Italian.
Well, you've got some support already. So obviously Jill says absolutely brilliant. Join us on YouTube.
Jill.
And of course, Andrea, such a powerhouse. And obviously a few hellos of Candy. I can't pronounce your name. I am terrible. But hello. And of course, again, hello to you as well. So thank you guys for all joining. So obviously, Lynn, thank you for your background story. So obviously to you, mental health and mindset is really important.
Yeah.
Why is it important as a whole? Obviously for business owners and professionals, why should it be so important?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, it's everything. So, our state of mind, our state of mental well-being informs everything we do every business day, right? And if that's compromised, we're going to lack inspiration. We're going to lack joy. We're going to lack intention. We're going to probably be more reactionary versus responsive and just feel overall stuck, right? Yeah. So, it's everything. And if you're in a role where, like in business, where you need to convey confidence, man, you better possess it, because if you don't have it, it's going to show. People are going to pick up on that.
Yeah, for sure. So in your opinion, why is body and self-confidence important in a professional career? Ties in quite nicely there.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine like going to the doctor and the doctor, hey doc, am I going to make it? And the doctor lacks confidence and, yeah, you will. Yeah, we want that, right?
Yeah.
And so, when you have confidence, your posture changes, right? Your tone changes. Everything is different when you're in that state of confidence, and the more clearly you think, the more you get things done. I had a client. Oh, she was amazing. But when she came to me, she was really timid. She had a brain injury, and she was comparing and despairing about what she used to be versus what she can do now, what she used to do, but by the end of our 3 months, she was sitting up tall. She was cursing. She had written her book. She was like, it was awesome. So she was getting things done, and she was no longer in that I can't do this, but she was in this what can I do kind of mode, and just full of exuding confidence. And another thing too, we've all seen people in business, like you might have a lot of confidence and zero confidence, and where's that going to get you? But you could have not as much confidence, but if you've got a lot of confidence and that might bring you further, right? Sometimes maybe it's not deserved, but it just convinces everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's a fine line between confidence and arrogance as well. So it's being confident, it's not having an ego. It's actually just self-belief and just.
It's self-belief. And, a lot of people, they think, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get, and they take action just for the sake of taking action. But when you are feeling that power from within and you are really believing in yourself, you're more inclined to take like inspired action, and you're more in that state of inspiration and motivation, and less likely to, be procrastinating all the time.
Mm-hmm. And then that ties with the right mindset, because you become very intentional with your actions, increased outcome.
And even procrastination, if you've got a whole stack of papers, I mean, talk about, checking in with your unserving thoughts. If you've got stacked papers and that stuff needs to get done, and you look at it and then you go, you push it away. What just went on up here? Because something happened that made you say no.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this is what I mean. When you do taxes, that's my big one. So I set myself little goals. I break it down and go, right, today I'm just going to do this bit. And it might take me half an hour, it might take me 2 hours, but then I go, I've achieved it. So I can, and then I put it away. So even though I know I've got about another 20 things to do on it, it's just doing it in the way that you go, actually, and then you see that success, and it a little builds up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's reflect on the pandemic, because obviously health is more than just the mind, the mindset. How has the pandemic affected your physical fitness levels?
Yeah, it is more, and the mind and the body are just so influential, right? I mean, I always say, like, for me, from my point of view, everything begins here, but it is all integrative and inter-influential.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even a thing, or did I just?
We just made it up. It's fine.
Whatever. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really hasn't impacted. Now, I've been working remotely since '95, so it hasn't really impacted me that much. I do have some teacher arms, some of them, but that's on me. That's 100% squarely on me, because I can be doing, upper body work. I've just been kind of lax about it. But I go to the gym where, the little community where I live. I go to, no one's ever in there. It's usually just me. So I'm a cardio junkie. So I get my workout in every day. And even if you're just like sitting on the couch, there's no excuse. You can be like, lift the leg, extend it out, bring it back, put it down. I mean, it's a great ab work, and it's good for your quads. And I mean, there's stuff that you can do. Or if you're driving in your car, red light, tummy tight, just suck your abs in while the light is. Yes, there's tons of things you can do. So I don't think for me, it hasn't really impacted me too badly.
Well, that's good.
What about you?
You're talking to the queen of fitness around here.
I know. Actually, well, yeah, I know. And I did a workout with you.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome.
And I paid for it.
But that's the thing. The difference between what I do, because I teach. So, of course, you have to have a level of fitness overall. So my endurance is mental. But the thing that I found is that intermittent of my own training, because I'll get into a routine, the gym will open, then it's closed. Still fit. Where some people go, my trousers don't fit and all this, I can sit there going, my trousers still fit. I can put on anything in my wardrobe. It's, I'm still physically fit and in shape. Yeah. Just my training regime has changed. So
yeah, that's all. And, I used to, like, when I was doing distance running, if I went out and ran 13 miles, that's a mind game. Mm-hmm. That's a complete mind game. And that's a complete training in itself. So I don't run the 13 miles anymore, but I can walk 10. I mean, and I can be on the ellipticals. I mean, but yeah, so that's a real, you've got that talent too.
This is the big thing, because everyone, particularly now, is going, I either can't do that, or, for example, you just said it, going running. I can't run. Actually,
don't run. Not that I can. Yes,
you can still get. Or I can't run that far. Or I only did this. You still did something, and that's where the mind obviously comes in. It's also the stress relief as well. Saying that.
Oh my gosh, huge. You don't want to see me miss 3 days of a workout. Like that. little, horns come out and I get cranky.
Oh, you don't want to see me when I've taken a week off.
I don't think I've ever done that.
So let's move on from exercise. But if you could turn back time and go back and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Don't worry. Don't worry. Your journey is beautiful. I was kind of a nervous little girl. And also I'd probably be confident because I lacked, and honest to God, up until my injury in 2014, and you're not going to believe this, but I was very quiet. I was a little shy. I mean, if I'm in the business setting, when I had to be, I was on, I could put that on, but usually I was a pretty shy, timid, and quiet, and like an INFP kind of introvert. And very left brain analytical. And since that injury, it's like everything switched. And now it can't shut me up. I'm really right brained. People who've known me pre and post injury, they're like, oh my God, that was like the best thing that could happen to you because you're such a better person. And I'm like, wait a minute. What? Stop it. But it's true. It's true. But I would tell her, don't worry. And you don't have to be the best, or you don't have to be, the smartest, or you don't have to be perfect. You just be. Just calm down.
You.
Yeah.
Definitely. So who has been your biggest influence in life and why? And in what way?
Besides you, Liz?
Besides me. Oh
my God.
I'll take that.
So many people. Yeah. Miss McCabe, my 11th grade English teacher, who pushed and pushed and pushed and challenged me and would not let up. And I'm so glad. I've never told her that. I should write her a letter.
She'd love to receive that letter.
I'm gonna send her one. I actually reached out to my choir teacher, Mrs. Elliott, last year. I called her. She's 95 years old. And we chatted for like an hour. She was an amazing influence. What a positive person she was. Honest to God, not in a cocky way, but me. And I only say that because this whole experience, this whole injury experience and the healing through really reconnected with me, in the process of tearing down those thoughts and tearing down those patterns and the persona that I was telling myself I was. It kind of stripped that personality and reconnected me with me. And it was just an amazing experience to go through, which is why I'm doing this in the first place, right? Because I want everybody to be able to feel that bliss in their lives, because it's our birthright. We're entitled. It's a lot of limiting beliefs about I shouldn't be happy because no, that's our birthright.
Yeah.
So just this whole experience has really influenced me quite a bit.
Well, Andrea says introverts are the best listeners.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what surprises people is I'm a natural introvert. Yeah, exactly.
I can see it.
My natural comfortable state is introverted. So when I'm not feeling something's wrong, I will go into myself or think, and people just like, but I dial up my confident color energy. So obviously you understand all that. So guys, if you don't, recommend you find out about your color energies because you can tell.
I mean, the lockdown, I was like, yeah, no big deal. I like this kind of thing, and even like after the injury, and I'm like, all right, this is like, because it was just me and my thoughts, and that's kind of how I usually am anyway.
Yeah. That's
plus my brain. It was such a bad injury. My brain injury was keeping me from seeing the extent of my injury, right? Yeah. So when all that other people were screaming and yelling, they knew, like, oh my God, this is really bad. Yeah. I just was like, oh, whatever. I guess I'll be fine over time. Like I had no idea.
I was going to say, I was the same when I broke my nose. I was going, I'm fine, we'll go out later. And I'm bleeding everywhere. And I'm like, no, we'll be back on the slopes this afternoon. And they're like, I don't think so. Oh, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you have to listen to somebody else.
Yeah.
So what is the greatest lesson that you've learned that you feel others will benefit from?
Nick's an introvert. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Nick,
Um,
you need to do your color energies. Let's really understand this.
huh?
Let's do his color energies and find out what is conscious and unconscious as well.
Yeah.
That's my love. So the greatest lesson you feel.
That you have control over your mind. You have control over everything. When people say, "Oh gosh, the news really made me this," or "This politician really made me do that," and no, those are external circumstances. We make the choice. Sometimes it's hard because it happens so quickly, right? But there's so much stress out there right now, and the key is really shortening the refractory period. So the time between like the stressful event happens and then we get over it. So, you're in your car, somebody cuts you off, you flip them the bird or whatever you do, and then you're done. You're over it, right? Yeah. Not me. But the more that we stay in that space or in that amygdala and the fear, then the more, and don't do anything. If we can't shift out of it, then that becomes like a mood, or maybe if we can't get out of that, it becomes a temperament. And if we can't stop that, it becomes ultimately a personality trait. So we want to, and that thinking has chemical response implications. If we have bad thinking, we're going to have dumping stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol in our body, and then our body's going to send a signal back to the brain, and the brain's like, "Oh my God, stress, more hormones," and this chronic state of stress that we're all heading into, not all of us, but it's very dangerous because your brain in that state can downregulate genes that trigger disease. So we don't want to do that. We want to learn how to, use your mind, your thinking as a deliberate change agent for, peace and productivity and purpose. Three P's.
Last year you obviously organized that de-stress summit, and obviously, that was amazing, the speakers that you had involved, and, but it just shows how many people are out there to help, but are aware that the fact is we need to be taking action, whether it's being physically fit, the mental, the change of the thoughts, whether it's meditation. You need to be taking action to care for that mind.
Yeah. Food and non-food nourishment for both body and mind. And stress pre-COVID was already at epidemic levels. And it is right now, it's 85 to 9% of people right now hate their jobs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was going to say, I'm in the UK, we've got Brexit, so I'm just leaving that there. We'll leave that. You've just had the elections, so we'll leave that on there as well.
Yes, stress is really, it's at the root of everything, but we can control it. Really important, really important.
Well, thank you for asking us 100 more questions, but I think you're amazing, and I think so just Lynn, how can our listeners and viewers get hold of you? What's the best ways?
So I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. That's probably one way. And then my website is LynnDelGaudio.com. And the email is just Lynn@LynnDelGaudio.com.
And I'll say both your LinkedIn and your website are linked in this post in the text. So guys, if you want to Lynn or even speak to her about anything more, then obviously please do drop her a message. If not, Lynn, thank you very much for your time. It's been amazing. And I wish everyone a great, happy day.